Hello, Internet friends. I am Sixy. I am a partnered streamer on Twitch, and I do Mythic Plus carries for free on my channel. As a result of my stream, I have completed well over 1,000 keys this season. Today, I'd like to go over some mechanics in the Plaguefall dungeon. The purpose of these videos is to help you time your own keys by having a better understanding of the mechanics. The affixes this week are Fortified, Bursting, and Storming. And due to the relative ease of these affixes, it is substantially easier than most weeks to pull trash mobs with bosses. So the goal of this video is to help you get comfortable enough with the mechanics that you feel confident to do so. If you find this video helpful, please consider dropping it a like and let me know in the comment section any other videos you'd like to see in the future. If you're a little more advanced and understand these abilities, check out the other video I am posting this week. It has some really advanced tricks and tactics to help you time higher keys. Link will be in the description of this video. So let's dive in. One of the easiest places to pull trash with a boss is the third boss of Plaguefall, Domina Venomblade. It is a big open area with trash nearby, so getting the trash and the boss grouped up is easier than some of the other bosses throughout Shadowlands. Let's go over Domina Venomblade's abilities. Shortly after Domina is engaged, players that are alone will be affected with solitary prey. This is an ability I often see messed up by new players. If a player is not near another player for 10 seconds or more, Domina will place them in a web that stuns them. To free the player from the webbing, the remaining teammates will need to break them out by damaging the web. It's better to avoid getting webbed altogether, so make sure you're standing with another player. Standing on top of the tank and melee is also a very effective strategy. The boss's actual abilities are very cyclical, meaning she will cast these abilities in the same order, one after another. The first ability Domina casts is Shadow Ambush. The boss will place a purple circle on a non-tank player, and after 6 seconds, the player will take shadow damage and be stunned for 3 seconds. There's no way to avoid this being cast on you. Any other player that is inside of this large purple circle will also take the shadow damage and be stunned for 3 seconds. The best way to deal with this mechanic is to move out of the group and then use a personal defensive ability to reduce the amount of damage you take and help your healer out. Now remember, the second you remove yourself from the group, your solitary prey timer starts ticking. So do not take your purple circle too far away from the group, and make sure you return to your group members as fast as possible so you don't get webbed. Domina Venomblade has a permanent buff that makes their melee attacks always deal nature damage. This is important for tanks, but for the most part this damage is very negligible. However, the second ability Domina casts is Cytotoxic Slash. This ability deals physical damage and applies a poison debuff to the tank that increases their nature damage taken by 100% for 8 seconds. This poison, in conjunction with Domina's melee attacks and her other abilities, can really ramp up tank damage. This poison can be dispelled by druids, paladins, and monks, regardless of their spec, so help your tank out when you can. The third and final ability Domina casts is Brood Assassins. Domina will place 4 white circles on the ground that look like webs. Inside of these webs are invisible mobs that cast Assassinate. This ability throws daggers at random players, dealing damage on impact and leaving a poison dot on that player. At first, the damage is very modest. However, if the assassins are not revealed, the poison debuff will stack, and eventually this damage will be so much that the healer will not be able to keep up. So the best strategy is to reveal the assassins. To do this, you need to deal damage to the assassins that are located at the very center of the web. You can also use True Sight abilities like Flare, or displacement abilities like Typhoon and Ring of Peace to reveal the enemies. And at that point, they will no longer stand in place and will become freely movable and stop casting the Assassinate ability. Even though the poison debuff is 30 seconds long, it seems to remove the dot shortly after the Brood Assassin is revealed. The best strategy for handling these adds is for the tank to run over to some of the webs and for DPS to split up and run to any other webs the tank is not running to. Once the assassins become freely movable, the tank should get threat and gather the assassins so they can be cleaved down with the boss. After this, Domina will repeat these casts over and over until the boss is defeated. Alright, let's talk about the trash mobs we can easily pull into this boss. The first one we're going to discuss is Venomous Sniper. It has an aggro table, however this mob mostly casts an ability called Shoot, which targets a random player. Call Venomfang is the only other ability this mob has, and it's a priority interrupt. Venomfang is a summon mob that deals heavy physical damage and greatly increases the damage taken by the tank. The next mob we'll talk about is the Defender of Many Eyes. This mob mostly just melees the tank, however, it also has a cast called Bulwark of Maldraxxus. This is a dark green bubble shield that reduces damage taken to himself and other enemy mobs by 90% for 8 seconds. It can be stopped by using any ability that can be cast on undead type mobs like Stun and Dragon's Breath, as well as CCs like Shackle Undead and Paralysis. Canceling Bulwark of Maldraxxus is an integral part to getting through these packs of mobs quickly to progress the dungeon. The last mob in this area is the Brood Ambusher. This is a high priority target that should be killed as fast as possible. It has 3 abilities. Most of the time it casts Ambush first, an ability that upon completion will jump behind the tank and deal physical AoE damage to anyone in 7 yards. The second ability it casts is Enveloping Web. After 5 seconds, anyone that is within roughly 10 yards will be rooted in place for 6 seconds. The root aspect of this ability is also a channel that lasts for 6 seconds. This ability deals no damage, so it should not, under most circumstances, be kicked. Instead, melee players and tanks should position themselves close enough to the mob to continue to DPS it throughout the cast. This is because the Ambusher's most deadly ability is Stealthlings. Not kicking Enveloping Web gives you an additional 11 seconds to kill this mob before it begins its Stealthlings cast. The Stealthlings ability itself can be stunned or CC'd, however the Ambusher will usually recast this ability again. Multiple successful stuns or CCs of this ability will sometimes cause the Ambusher to stop attempting to cast Stealthlings. However, there is no consistent way to predict how many CCs it requires. Stealthlings, the ability, when allowed to cast, summons 8 little spiders that start invisible at the location they are summoned at. Any damage or true sight abilities used on them will reveal them from stealth. These little spiders also cast the Ambush ability. If multiples of these casts are allowed to go off on the same player, it will hurt them very badly if not kill them. The spiders that are summoned can also be stunned or CC'd to stop their ambush cast, and they will not recast their ambush ability, and instead they will just melee their aggro target. Saving a stun for these adds is imperative so that in the off chance the Stealthlings are summoned, they are unable to finish their ambush cast. They have a relatively low health pool, so they might also be able to be killed in time before finishing their cast. Once summoned, they become the new priority target if your group has no way of stopping their ambush ability. Now for me, it's self-explanatory why pulling mobs on top of the boss saves a lot of time. But after you watch the next clip, you might think to yourself, it's too complicated and not worth it. But let's use real values to see why it is. This is a clip from an older VOD of a 14 key that we did. The affixes are similar enough that we can create a mediocre comparison. Killing this one pack took us 52 seconds, and killing the boss took us exactly 2 minutes. Now this following clip is a 17 key, but even with the mobs having substantially more health, pulling the boss with the trash, the total fight length was 2 minutes and 28 seconds. We saved 24 seconds total on a pull that was 3 key levels higher. So let's dive into this clip and put it all together. I pull the boss to the pack of 3 mobs on the right hand side of the room. To be successful in this pull, we are going to need to prioritize killing the trash mobs over killing the boss. This is because if multiple casts of Stealthlings are allowed to go off, it could kill us. And most classes are capped at 5 mobs for AoE damage. So having them up, we lose efficiency in our cleave onto the boss and priority targets. So we're going to focus the Ambusher and allow our passive cleave damage to start whittling down the boss as well. We still need to make sure we interrupt Call Venomfang, and we need to stun or CC the Bulwark of Maldraxxus, because we don't want to lose 90% of our damage on the targets for 8 seconds. We also need to mind the boss mechanics. So the person that gets targeted with Shadow Ambush needs to get out of the group, which this player did a great job of doing. And last but not least, when Domina casts Brood Assassins, we need to be quick to break them out of stealth. In this clip, my hunter Beck does a great job of using Tar Trap and Flare to pull all of the assassins out of hiding. Once they move towards the group, I grab aggro on them so we can cleave them down. This might seem like a lot, but we can really break this down into assignments. My monk is well suited for interrupting Bulwark of Maldraxxus, so I assign him to that. Myself and my hunter can easily cover the Call Venomfang interrupt, and my healer Satan can dispel my poison debuff. And that's it. We've covered all the mechanics, and everyone was really only given 1 or 2 extra jobs. When all is said and done, my group did a great job with managing all of the abilities of this fight, and we saved quite a bit of time. One of the things I notice with new players and even people doing higher keys, they get really upset when they don't time keys, so they're afraid to try new things. Challenging myself is part of the fun of playing this game, and for me, trying new stuff and failing is exactly how I've built such an extensive knowledge base. Which is why in my Discord we have built a separate looking for group channel. Unfortunately, Horde, this is just for Alliance, but in this community we promote completing keys in a safe, friendly environment for people to learn. So please come check out our Discord, the link will be in the description, and if you enjoyed this content, please consider subscribing and turning on notifications as I make videos like this every week. Keep on keying and have a good day. Peace.